Part 32. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 311. No 22's eyes bulged out, his mouth opened wide, and he watched the devils reaching out to him. There is no hell on earth better than this. He doesn't want to die, he's afraid of death, and he doesn't want to die and become a monster. He doesn't want to stay in this hellish place forever. In his panic, he was covered in water, and he couldn't tell whether it was sweat or body fluids. A monster came up and slapped his leg, tearing off a large piece of his leg meat. This time, number 22 could no longer hold back and screamed so hard that Chaoran's ears hurt. Deserves it, this man was too dirty. Chaoran wanted him to suffer all kinds of torture, otherwise she had just used this guy's method to deal with number 11, directly giving him a poisonous arrow to knock him out of consciousness. No. She wanted him to watch, taste bit by bit, and experience the word retribution well and carefully. When they arrived at the spot where the team had just hit the power grid with logs, they happened to see two monsters pounce on number 98, who was unconscious on the ground. For a time, number 98 was a bloody mess, unable to recover. The monsters were attracted and pounced on him one after another. That scene was extremely cruel. However, Chaoran's heart was calm and he once again sent the word deserves it to number 98. Earlier, it was number 98 who swore that if he betrayed, he would die badly. Now, it comes true. He. God's will. You deserve it. Otherwise. At this time, Chaoran's chest suddenly shook, and there was another system message. They happened to arrive on the 30th to pick us up. After handing number 22 to number 30 and the others, Chaoran looked at the panel. It turned out that her points were full. 10,000/10,000. Points progress is 100%. The game's estimate for her completion of the game has reached 66%. It seems that the points are capped after reaching 10,000. Since the points will not keep adding up, if the points are missing by a certain amount during transfer, will only the amount be deducted from the transferring? Good thing. This way points won't be wasted. The score of number 22 must be high, so it can be divided among many people in the team. Thinking of this, Chaoran felt very lucky that he had not killed number 22 just now. Number 11 has been sent to the top of the mountain. Those who can't fight in our team have all retreated to the top of the mountain to prepare. What's next for us? Boss, what do you say? Behind number 30, 8 people stood, all of whom were the most powerful in the team. Jiang, Chaoran's partner who has always fought side by side. When number 11 was mentioned, Chaoran rushed out again. Number 11 is unconscious, how can he complete the points task? Is it such a pity to let him die in the game? The only feasible thing is to help him win points. It is also necessary to find someone who is physically weaker than number 11 who is now fainted and poisoned, or who has just died before the transfer can be successful. Just in time, she saw number 886, who had been knocked unconscious by her not long ago and was now eaten by several monsters. Come here, Chaoran swung out the big sword and used a set of sword skills, then motioned to number 30 and the others. Her points are full, but she can't waste them. So, she was responsible for the uniforms, and the others were responsible for smashing the monster number plates to get points. Those monsters were quickly dealt with, and they dragged number 886 away. A few people retreated to the back of the stone forest and glanced out. Thanks to the earlier defense layout and the group of people from the opposing team who were shot by poisonous arrows and fainted to death, the monsters were greatly restrained and attracted. Therefore, the monsters are still attracted so far. The area in front of the dense forest. As for everyone in the opposing team, after the plan changed, the monster suddenly appeared, and the team leader number 22 escaped. They were already in chaos. Almost everyone was busy with their own affairs, anxious to escape, avoid, climb trees or kill monsters. Continue to power up the power grid, Taoran ordered. Because of their actions just now, the monster has targeted them and is heading towards the stone forest. Although part of the power grid has collapsed, the effects are still there. A monster stepped on it, and electric current was introduced. It was so frightened that it retracted its feet and fell to the ground. One by one, the monsters tentatively stepped forward, but in the end, none of them dared to take a step closer to the power grid, and just wandered around there. Number 30 pointed to the part of the power grid that Taoran had previously cut off in order to use the electric saw. Is there something wrong here? Will the monster and the other party's people come from that area? Taoran, however, recruited a few people and spoke softly to a few of them. Several people relaxed, then nodded. You guys deal with it first. After Taoran said this, he dragged the bloody number 886, with only half of his torso left, towards the mountain. It should take no more than 5 minutes for number 886 to die. She still has time and must quickly transfer his points to number 11 within the time limit. If you want to blame, you can only blame number 886 for his bad luck. Who told him to take advantage of number 11? The smell of blood on his body was astounding to his nostrils, the sticky and greasy feeling that completely soaked his back, and the blood that number 886 poured into his neck made Taoran gag several times and almost fell over. When had she ever been so hard and embarrassed? But as long as she thought that she could save a comrade and help someone get out alive, she couldn't allow herself to give up. Taoran rushed out of the stone forest in 3 minutes and called for people to carry number 11 out. After another half-minute of rushing to the top of the mountain, she dropped number 886, grabbed its number plate, and supported the pale number 11 to transfer the score. She didn't know if she could succeed, but she had to try. 20 seconds later, she opened them all. Many people shouted with her, "Success!" Because on the ranking list, number *1 became the second person to complete the points task. The completion time of the following string was exactly half a minute ago. In this way, as long as you wait with number 11 until the game time ends, he will still be considered to have cleared the game if he is still alive. Taoran, there must be points left for the number 886. Can you try to make a second transfer? Xiaotian came to try. As a result, his points increased from 7,700 to 8,900. It is indeed transferable. Everyone was overjoyed. If that's the case, the next points task will be simple. Taoran, we will try our best to bring people with transferable points. You should prepare well. We will try to leave together. No, we must leave together. Okay, everyone replied in unison, and then took their places. After Taoran said that, he rushed down the mountain again. Everyone's eyes were filled with tears. Who could live up to that bloody figure? She can totally ignore them. On the other side, the guys in the alliance were envious when they saw that the power grid had separated the monsters again. Several people gathered. They also have to go to the other side of the grid. Only by fighting in can they avoid monsters and loot points on a large scale. This is the only way. Looking again, it's a good time. Everyone on mountain number 3 has disappeared. It seems that they have all retreated up the mountain. If they don't sneak in now, when will they wait? Making false claims in the east and attacking in the west, their method. They repeated their old trick and killed 2 teammates near the power grid. The sweetness of the blood suddenly attracted the monster wandering in front of the power grid. A gap was exposed, and a group of 5 people began to crawl through the hole that Taoran had cut in the power grid. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 312. The opening that Taoran opened was only so big that it could only accommodate 1 person at most at a time. When going through, they have to be careful not to hit the power grid, but also to pay attention to the presence of monsters behind them. At this time, who would be polite to whom? Who doesn't put their own lives first? 5 people were vying for the first place in front of the power grid, and no one wanted to take the back seat. The 5 people were almost charged with electricity and convulsed by the touch. They finally fell down and squeezed into the network port at the same time. Unexpectedly, the opponent's archers who had disappeared suddenly appeared one by one from behind the stone pillar. Fooled. Sure enough, before they could stand up, arrows were already shot. They fell into a ball and naturally couldn't avoid it. None of these arrows hit their vital points. But they felt bad. Because from the raised corners of the opponent's lips, they had a hunch that these arrows were terrifying, poisonous arrows that could make people unconscious. Could they have fallen into a trap themselves? The 5 people regretted it too much. They guessed it right. In less than a minute, 5 people fainted. So when Taoran hurried back from the top of the mountain, what he saw was the scene of his companions throwing away the unconscious people. Well, this is exactly what Taoran gave number 30 and the others not long ago. At first, he was worried about how to go out and grab points from more and more monsters, but then Taoran took a look and realized that this broken hole in the net was a ready-made bait. He ordered number 30 and the others to hide behind the stone pillar near the hole in the power grid, and sure enough, they soon found their prey. They had already seen the standings. Everyone on the other side except number 22 has less than 5,000 points. Therefore, it is actually impossible for the other party to achieve the points goal simply by killing monsters. These people are almost at a dead end. In this case, they have no moral constraints. If the other party comes to number 3 mountain with murderous intentions, they will either be robbed or robbed. Either others will die, or they will die. In order to protect themselves, they must be ruthless. Their calculation at least guaranteed their teammates points. No one from the opposing team dared to climb into the hole, so Taoran and the others directly guarded the power grid. They also have to kill monsters to gain points. This time, they chose slender swords. The hilt of the sword was wrapped with thick cloth for insulation. With the cooperation of power tools, they cleaned up the monsters in front of the power grid. As before, Taoran asked his companions about their scores, leaving the final chance to kill to his companions. On the 30th, after successive kills, their points increased very quickly. On the other side, Xiaotian and the others on Shanshan lined up in an orderly manner to transfer the points of the group on number 22 according to the principle of putting the young and old first. The opponent's 6 people had a total of more than 22,000 points, and the 23 people who directly helped prepare for the top of the mountain all collected their points. Once again, everyone burst into tears. Almost collapsed on the 22nd. He can't even open the points mall. He banged his head on the ground. He begged and cursed, but he still watched helplessly as his points completion dropped from 90% to 0. One step away turns into a bottomless cliff. The greater the gap, the greater the excitement. Falling into despair little by little, this torture is too painful. But he knew in his heart that the pain he felt now was precious. After 10 hours of waiting, he became a walking zombie, without even basic feelings. I beg you, number 44. Please help me too. I agree to whatever you say, he begged. Taoran raised his eyebrows. You don't deserve to live, that will only harm more people. As trash, I will let you stay in this world well and prevent you from going out to harm others. Therefore, even if she takes away his points, she will not let him leave. Time is passing by bit by bit. There are still people in the alliance who are resisting and criticizing the game for being cruel. Some people were hiding in the trees and did not dare to move, either because of the monsters surrounding them or because they were whimpering at the thought that their lives were about to end. Of course, there were also people who were directly torn apart by the monsters. The atmosphere of despair enveloped the entire mountain. The smell of rot and blood is getting heavier and heavier. Everyone looked at the time from time to time, waiting for this damn game to end. There are more and more monsters gathering on the top of the mountain. As time went by, Taoran's situation did not get much better. The monsters are swarming in more and more, pushing forward layer by layer, and the power grid gradually has little effect on them. And the monsters can't be killed, so it's pointless to continue like this. The weather is getting worse. It's not sunset, but clouds are gathering, and it seems like it's going to rain. This is not good news. The electricity in the power grid is entirely supported by solar energy. The power grid has been maintained for several hours, but the power has dropped sharply. If the sun goes out again, it will definitely not last long. Taoran ordered to prepare to retreat. Look at the time, it's almost 5 o'clock. They had to hold on for another 7 hours. Next, for everyone in number 3 mountain, it will be a procrastinating process. The clouds were getting heavier, the power grid was soon cut off, and the monsters reached the stone forest. Taoran and the others had already evacuated to higher ground. The monsters could not find any living people, but through the smell of blood they discovered the 5 people who were unconscious due to poisoned arrows. The 5 of them were fixed on the top of several tall stone pillars by Taoran. The monsters circled around the stone pillars, but they were unable to get up. They were all drooling and beating the stone pillars manically. In this way, you can at least get a few dozen more minutes. After a while, some monsters began to wander nearby. The terrain in the stone forest area was similar, and when Taoran and the others left, they deliberately blocked all the roads going up the mountain with wood. So the monsters with no direction, no goal, and no brains were almost spinning in circles. More than an hour has passed. Night is coming, and the tallest tree in front of the stone forest has been knocked down by monsters. Hiding in the tree, the 3 desperate team members landed on the ground without hesitation and launched the last try of their lives. They have only one way, which is up the mountain. The monsters don't know how to walk in the stone forest, but they have already spotted the route in the trees. The 3 of them rushed over the fallen power grid together. 2 people finally climbed up the big tree that Taoran and others used to block the road. However, in the end, only one person successfully crossed over. The appearance of these 3 people was equivalent to pointing the direction to the monster. The monster, which had gradually calmed down, became agitated again because of the human aura, and followed madly. It also climbed through the trees blocking the road and found its way up the mountain. The only person who escaped sprinted towards the top of the mountain with one breath, but suddenly his feet were suddenly empty. It turned out that as we approached the top of the mountain, the entire circle had already been dug with trenches. On that day, number 98 had always been peeping near dense forests and stone forests. She had never been to the top of the mountain, so she naturally didn't know the traps on the top of the mountain. "Help me! Help me!" the fallen man cried loudly. "I don't want to die, please." Everyone on the top of the mountain couldn't bear it, so they finally lowered a vine to the ditch. But that man was unlucky. His hand slipped due to lack of strength. When he climbed the vine again, one of his legs was pulled by the monster behind him that had just fallen into the trench. The monsters fell into the ditch one after another, and the man, unable to resist all the force with his hands, was naturally pulled back, leaving only a wailing sound. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 313. Everyone felt uncomfortable when they saw this scene. They hurriedly hid themselves and sighed deeply. This trench, which is 3 meters deep, is the result of their full efforts in the last 7 days of the mission. It is also their only remaining line of defense. I don't know how long it can be defended, and how long it will be enough to fill up these monsters. It was already dark, it was past 8 o'clock. The monsters were walking in the dark and their movements were much slower. Everyone sat quietly on the top of the mountain, not daring to light a fire or speak, for fear of attracting the attention of the monsters. Time passes little by little. It's the most difficult time. From time to time, monsters walking up the mountain would fall into the ditch, and then make those disgusting whooshing sounds. Those movements, every sound makes people a little more anxious. Gradually, the wind began to pick up. The north wind blew from behind, and the monsters suddenly became restless again. At this time, their sense of smell is particularly good. What the strong wind brings is the vitality of people. And among them, there is also a faint smell of blood. This is their favorite smell. A group of monsters were once again attracted towards the top of the mountain. Previously, they fell into the pit one by one, but this time, they fell in rows. The 3-meter deep pit quickly filled up. Taoran and the others could not sit still. They took advantage of the monsters to step on each other and quickly made the next move. A torch was thrown directly. The trench, as well as the land in front of the trench, suddenly burst into flames. The fire was so fierce that it spread into a large area in the blink of an eye. Knowing that monsters are afraid of electricity, they built a power grid. Knowing that monsters are afraid of fire, how could they not make this simpler preparation? This move was borrowed from the one that built the wall of fire on number 2 mountain that day. And because they were fully prepared, when the wall of fire came up, it came faster, stronger, and longer than the fire on mountain number 2 that day. The most indispensable thing on the mountain is trees, so they have already dried a lot of dry firewood chips these days. The earlier fire on number 2 mountain did not burn for long because it burned whole trees with sufficient moisture. Unlike this time, they added dry wood and refueled it, which was flammable and resistant to burning. They could maintain the fire for at least 5 hours without any problem. As long as the fire is maintained, this mission will be considered completed. Above the stone forest, there is now a ring of fire. In order to prevent the fire from spreading upward, everyone had already built a circle of large rocks on the upper edge of the fire ring. The fire clearly reflected everyone on the top of the mountain, and even attracted many monsters. But the fire frightened the monsters and made them retreat. For a moment, in the circle of stone forest, the back was pushing forward and the front was retreating. Looking from above, it looked like a crowd of people, like a gathering of ants. Everyone's hearts gradually calmed down. They all stood behind the stones and formed a circle, adding fuel to the fire from time to time to keep it going. A quarter of an hour, half an hour, the fire did not weaken at all, but became stronger and stronger. The monster was just stopped on the outside. Occasionally, some of them accidentally ran into the fire ring and were killed directly by everyone. Everyone looked at their points again and almost all were done. There are only a few that have not been completed, and they have made up their points now. Everyone had rosy cheeks and high spirits, holding long knives or swords in their hands, counting the time in excitement and anxiety, and staring at the ring of fire with concentration. It's 11 o'clock. There are still 60 minutes left, everyone, hold on. Everyone responded in unison. Smiles finally filled everyone's faces. Everyone began to discuss quietly what to do first after leaving. Some said that they should have a big meal, some said that they should sleep for 3 days, and some said that they should realize their wishes as soon as possible. Desire? Taoran frowned. Yes, she was just thinking that she would take a good bath and sleep after going out. She would never want to drink porridge or eat jerky. She would miss vegetables, fruits, and hot pot. But she almost forgot about the wishes. Unlike others, she did not voluntarily enter this damn dangerous and disgusting game for a certain purpose. After she gets out, she will probably be left with a lifelong shadow. She was almost going to fall into this hell where the living dead roamed forever. She was plotted. She has to settle the score with that witch woman. However, everyone here was not happy for long. Because suddenly, a bolt of lightning flashed across the sky, accompanied by rumbling thunder. Now, it's really going to rain. Everyone looked at the sky with depressed expressions. Unacceptable. Do you think it was too easy for them to clear the level? There were still too many people alive, so the difficulty was increased again? How could he be so vicious? Everyone was anxious to add fuel to the fire, hoping that the rain would not fall or would fall later. However, with a series of lightning and thunder, huge raindrops finally fell. It took only 1 minute for the raindrops to turn into heavy rain, and another 2 minutes before it became a heavy rain. Everyone couldn't help but yell, but the rainstorm didn't let up. Instead, it turned into a downpour. No matter how hard everyone added firewood, the raging fire was slowly getting weaker and it would definitely be extinguished by the heavy rain in a few minutes. But at this moment, only one person was laughing and overjoyed. Number 22. Okay. God has eyes. Today, no one can escape. Let's die together. Even if we become monsters in the future, we can still be together. Number 44, you didn't expect that, did you? I can drag you with me before I die. With so many people accompanying me, I can die without regrets. Ha ha ha. The lightning, thunder, and torrential rain never stopped, and the thundercloud overhead did not move, and seemed to have inexhaustible energy. The height of the fire was only half of what it was 2/4 of an hour ago. But there is still half an hour before the game ends. People almost had nowhere to go. Taoran gave an order, and everyone moved the big stone blocking the fire. For a time, dozens of large rocks rolled down the mountain at the same time, creating a new round of obstacles for the monster to a certain extent, and also freed up more space for the fire to burn. Number 30. You take the people and organize everyone to take the last step. As usual, the old, the weak, and the young go first. Pay attention to safety. Went there on the 30th. I'll stay, number 100 stepped forward. Me too. I'm here to help the Queen too. Nearly 10 partners with outstanding military skills came forward and expressed their willingness to stay. Sitting under the tree on the top of the mountain on the 22nd, he laughed again and was ridiculed again. He was so happy to see such a good show before he died. However, number 100 suddenly turned around and glared at number 22. I can't do anything else, but I can use my brain. He had just dismantled the generator and connected some remaining metal wires from the previous power grid. Just as a burst of thunder passed, number 100 approached the big tree, took the metal frame he had connected in series and stood directly beside the tree, and then grinned at number 22. This story ends tomorrow, yo. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 314. No 22's expression changed instantly. The top of the shelf erected by number 100 is a straight, fully wet log, and the top of the log is a sharp metal wire. Now at the top of the mountain, it is empty. Question: wet wood and open space and metal and sharp objects and generator with weak current and sky with lightning and thunder, what does it equal? This is just a lightning trigger, isn't it? What is he sitting under the tree? Number 22 was scared and shook his head repeatedly. Number 100 sneered. That day, when you lied to me about the flashlight, didn't you swear to God that if you violated it, you would be struck by thunder? I guess you used similar lies when you deceived number 98 and number 299, right? God will not deal with you, I will coming to help you fulfill your promise is a way of doing justice to God. No. However, it's too late but too soon. Another string of lightning flashed across the sky, seeming to have sensed the call here. The lightning that struck one after another tore apart the night sky and gathered here. Finally, a bolt of lightning like a snow-white sharp blade finally hit the metal wire on the log. It was like a huge silver firework exploding. The bright silver color spreads out in all directions. The tree above No. 22's head was struck instantly, his feet were tied, and his hands were broken. Where could number 22 run to? A huge electric current coursed through his body. He fell to the ground in an instant, feeling that all his internal organs were scorched, his eyes, ears, nose and tongue were all smashed, and his whole body was almost about to explode. He was worse than dead, his energy was as thin as a thread, and he had only a little bit of consciousness left. Not far away, Taoran and others, because of No. 100's reminder, hid early and squatted down with their heads in their hands, so they did not suffer any damage. However, the monsters were frightened. Almost all the monsters around the top of the mountain were turning around and running away. The monsters collided with each other, but there was no trace of the momentum that they had just surrounded them. Number 100 laughed loudly and placed another prepared lightning rod in front of the trench where the fire was almost extinguished. Another bolt of lightning was drawn, and the silver flower exploded. The unlucky ones this time were the monsters in the trench. Sparks flew everywhere, and everything was scorched black. Many monsters had their number plates on their chests blown up and lost their breath. More monsters howled. Fear, fear, helplessness, at a loss. They fled one by one, fearing that the next bolt of lightning would explode on them. Many monsters were so frightened that they rolled down the stone forest. Lightning flashed across the sky, lighting up the sky from time to time. What a spectacular scene that is! The densely packed monsters crowded together and fled, they collided, they trampled, they didn't look back. In just a few minutes, the group of monsters that had just pressed on the top of the mountain basically all retreated to the middle of the stone forest, and were still crossing. Go further and further. Taoran patted number 100 on the shoulder to show him a job well done. 1. Is this a win? Look at the time, there are still 10 minutes left. Several people exhaled heavily. But, before he even took a breath, he lifted it up again. The heavy rain suddenly stopped. The backend of the game was either disappointed that the set test did not bring satisfactory results, or wanted to increase the excitement again. Not only did the lightning and thunder completely disappear within tens of seconds, but even the previous dark clouds completely dissipated. With 8 minutes left until the end of the game, a full moon rose in the sky. With the arrival of calm, the monsters' earlier collapse and madness gradually disappeared. They wandered again, turned around again, and stared at the top of the mountain again. In response to this, Taoran and the others on the top of the mountain were indignant and looked up at the sky together. How? They survived together, are they so annoying? Do they have to be killed to be interesting? The full moon was getting brighter and brighter, and at the 7-minute countdown, it was like an incandescent lamp, hanging high above the heads of everyone on the top of the mountain. As if they were afraid that the monster wouldn't notice them, such a bright projection almost made Taoran think that he was on stage to receive an award. Speechless, really speechless. Isn't this just like going on stage? Look, their group is in the spotlight again, by the monsters. All the monsters turned around together, and then, as if they had been given a shot of blood, they became manic and started to go back quickly, continuing up the mountain. 6 minutes to go. Unfortunately, there was water everywhere and it was impossible to light the fire. A few people could only make a last-ditch effort. They rolled down the rocks near the trench and fired all their electric weapons. With 4 minutes left, the monsters returned to the trench again and finally began to climb to the top. Withdraw, Taoran gave the order. Number 22 smiled again. Withdraw. Dreaming. Just over 3 minutes left. It's too late to withdraw. On the entire top of the mountain, not even a tree that could be climbed was gone. Where can they retreat? Don't you see it? The monsters have reached the top of the mountain. There were so many people around, at least 3,000. 5,000. Let alone 3 minutes until the end, even 30 seconds may not be enough. Number 22 held on for a breath, wanting to see the ending of number 44 and the others. He saw it. Ha ha ha, here it comes. The monsters have arrived. The entire top of the mountain is now filled with monsters and monsters. He saw that number 44 and the others were unable to escape. They ran all the way and finally reached the northernmost cliff. His eyes widened, trying to see more clearly. Number 44 has reached the edge of the cliff. But there are still 2 minutes left. Number 22 laughed again. How? Where else can I go? The monsters have swarmed over and climbed onto the cliff together. Although number 44 used to be calm, now his face was tense. Ha, look at her, she slowly backed away, closed her eyes, screamed and went straight off the cliff. Tisk, that sound is really harsh. But, jumped. Or was he pushed down? Could it be that your feet are slipping and your legs are weak, and you are not careful? Number 22 finally laughed wildly. No matter how she died. Anyway, his revenge has been avenged. The monster comes up. Number 22 thought that he would be torn apart by the monsters. But like a piece of rag, he was somehow hooked by a monster. Then, he was embraced by thousands of monsters and fell off the cliff with them. Crazy, crazy. These brainless monsters were all attracted to number 44 and the others, and they all rushed down the cliff with them. On the 22nd, I saw countless monsters rushing down the cliff like dumplings. That's all, anyway, with so many people accompanying him, he could rest in peace even if he was broken into pieces. At the moment of falling, number 22 was about to close his eyes, but his eyes suddenly widened again. Although it was only for a moment, he saw it clearly. Number 44, them, a big group of people, they didn't fall. No. They are all on the cliff. There they stand. Watch him and the monsters fall. They are laughing. Have fun. Celebrating. The only ones who fell were him and these monsters. Why? Why? No 22's eyes widened. He knew that he would never die in peace. After the last mission was released, Taoran knew that the number of monsters would exceed 10,000, and he knew that ordinary places could not hide them. Even if it is a towering tree. Facts have proved that her prediction was correct. Imagine that if they set up their last shelter in a tree today, there is no doubt that if lightning strikes, they will be struck to death and electrocuted. Taoran searched all over mountain number 3 that day but couldn't find any suitable cave. In the end, she was disappointed and went to the cliff. On the 11th, they put a thick vine down. She tied the vines and used her lightness skills to search the entire cliff. Hard work pays off. On the cliff, she found a foothold. Although it cannot be called a cave, it is a natural depression. The dent is good. A recessed place is always safer than a protruding place. Let alone 34 people, there is no problem if 50 people stand here. If necessary, you can at least hide here for a while. So in the past few days, they have been looking for strong enough vines to fasten directly to the huge rocks on the cliff, and designed a movable buckle that can slide down. Each of them practiced going down the cliff many times to ensure success as much as possible. But the cliff is too high, accidents are prone to happen, and the rock wall is not sure whether it can bear enough load, so they agreed early on that they would not use this method to escape unless it was absolutely necessary. In addition, due to the location, they only succeeded in attaching 5 vines in total. In other words, only a maximum of 5 people can go down at a time. Half an hour ago, Taoran asked the number 30 organization to retreat, which was to arrange the descent from the cliff. Since it would take some time for everyone to pass, a few of them stayed here to delay. And just now, after helping number 30 carry the fainted number 11 on his back, Chaoran was about to go down the cliff. She looked at the monsters that were constantly surrounding them and simply waited for a few more seconds. Seeing that the monster had stretched out its hand and was less than 10 meters away from her, she stared at the monster with both feet, shouted in front of the monster, and jumped down. Sure enough, the monsters that followed didn't know that they would fall below. They just followed the pursuers in front and jumped up together. The reason why Chaoran brought these monsters down the cliff together was because he felt that they were pitiful. Not long ago, they were all humans. Just because I haven't completed the game, I have no autonomy and consciousness. I will always be a walking zombie, always wandering like this, and never a human or a ghost. It's so cruel. It would be better to be shattered to pieces. She wants to help them. Help them free themselves. So she did. The silver moonlight shone down and hit her body, so bright and faintly glowing with gold. In the depression of the rock wall, 34 people were still intact. Except for the unconscious number 11, everyone was excited, grateful, with tears in their eyes, watching a large number of monsters rushing down one after another, falling into the abyss one by one. Time passed by second by second. The game has started counting down to the last minute. Most of the people looked at Chaoran. There was no doubt that this man was their savior. Xiao Tian held Chaoran's hand tightly. "Thank you, Sister Xiao Tao," he cried. "I will always remember you." "Thank you." "No 44, everyone said in unison. "We will all remember you forever." Thousands of words finally converged into one thank you. Chaoran responded with a bright smile to everyone. Although this trip was tiring, painful and difficult, she felt it was worth it. At the moment when the countdown finally reached 0 days, 0 hours, and 0 seconds, Chaoran felt a sudden golden light dazzling his eyes, and the hand he was holding on Xiao Tian was also empty. That familiar feeling of detachment came as promised. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 315. A severe headache hit Chaoran, and there was an electronic sound in Chaoran's ears. The player points task has been completed. The player time task has been completed. Congratulations to the player, he has cleared the game and will receive generous rewards. The player is exiting the game. Chaoran thought he could go to the void to see what the game was like, or at least see the old witch again, but no. After it was so violent that it made her want to vomit, her mind sank. When she opened her eyes again, she was back on the hotel bed. Clean, comfortable, and warm bed, beautiful blue sky and white clouds outside the window. "Are you back?" She slowed down and immediately jumped in front of the floor-length mirror. She is still her dazzling self. "My hair is shiny, my skin is smooth, there are no injuries, and I feel no pain. There is no blood, no dirt on the body, no small wounds left over the past month, and no calluses on the hand from carrying the knife." Of course, her body couldn't produce the power. Everything that happened in the last world was just like a game. The script is still lying there peacefully. Chaoran walked over and shouted coldly, "Come out." The script didn't respond. "If you don't come out, I will spill the black cat's blood on you." Unlike last time, when the witch showed her face in a hurry, this time she still didn't respond. Even if she waved her sleeve and poured the whole glass of water on it, the script would not move. Chaoran's anger at wanting to settle accounts had nowhere to vent, so he kicked the script onto the balcony. Can she not be angry? The game just now was full of difficulties and dangers, and almost made her doomed. When the game system exited, she made it clear that the rewards were huge, but where were the rewards? Chaoran suspected that the witch sent him there without his consent and took away the reward without his consent. Playing dead? Don't recognize people when they pull up their pants? This account, this tone, must be settled, right? Taoran entered the bathroom. When I came out again, it was already 2 hours later. There was nothing she could do, she just felt that her whole body was filled with the smell of sourness and the lingering smell of blood. She washed and washed, rubbed and rubbed, soaked and soaked, and even washed her hair 5 times before she felt that the discomfort gradually faded away. When she fell back on the bed, her eyelids soon began to give out again. The body is not tired, but the mind is not. During the game, she never had a good night's sleep. In the last 72 hours, she only narrowed her eyes briefly for 5 or 6 hours. She is too tired. She didn't know how long she had slept, but she seemed to see herself making a cup of herbal tea, sitting in the warm sunshine on the balcony, looking at the sea view in the distance comfortably, and her whole body gradually relaxed. Attracted by the laughter in the distance, she stood up and walked into the garden. In front of me, the ground is full of thorns and overgrown weeds. Entering the ruins of an ancient castle and a desolate tower. The iron windows on the tower were rusty and made people feel very uncomfortable. Such a desolate and deserted place made her feel an inexplicable attraction, leading her forward. But her rationality was very clear, she was staying in the best hotel in the area, and the outside should be a bustling metropolis, not a castle so desolate that not even a person or a dog could be seen. So, is it a dream? Right? She was still moving forward unconsciously. The moment she stepped into the ruins of the old castle, there was a distortion in front of her eyes. Like a dream, like an illusion. All the desolation just now was gone, replaced by prosperity. You can see patches of fiery red roses, and the grey stone walls outside the castle are covered with dense dark green vines. Beautiful, but not as dreamy as a fairy tale, more eerie. A butler in a tuxedo came forward and curtsied to her. She followed him into the castle. What you see before you is a magnificent, luxurious medieval style with a Gothic chill, gorgeous handmade carpets, dazzlingly complicated and luxurious murals, gold and silver utensils. She could smell the wine and hear the whispers of the servants. She walked up the stairs step by step, and finally came to a huge room. The door opened slowly. This is a living room. On the golden lounge chair directly in front of her, there was a woman in a fiery red lady's dress, leaning there with her head tilted. After sensing someone coming, she slowly raised her head, raised her eyes, and showed a bright smile. "Here you come. How is my place?" "This woman is extremely beautiful, isn't she the face that appeared in the script last time? Isn't it the person Taoran was looking for today but didn't show up? Taoran, did you plot against me?" "Woman, don't say that. Wasn't it agreed upon a long time ago? Is it a deal? But this deal is not fair, we have to calculate it carefully. Didn't I invite you to my home? Isn't this sincere enough? Relax, my dear. If this were the case before, ordinary people wouldn't be able to enter my castle. In the past few hundred years, you were the only one. For hundreds of years?" Taoran's heart skipped a beat. So she really isn't human? Is it a ghost? Is it a demon? Are you sincere? Taoran chuckled. "I didn't receive any rewards for the 2 most recent tasks." "Where did the rewards go? Yu Tong didn't get any rewards for that task either." "You took it all away, right?" Taoran asked all the familiar people in the game world, and the rewards each of them would receive as long as they passed the level were staggering. Like Xiao Tian, those who make money for treating their mother are among the lowest. Like the old man in the team, what he wants is to go back to a month ago so that his children and grandchildren who died in a car accident can avoid that disaster. Like number 11, after he gets out, his wife, who has been in a vegetative state for 5 years, can wake up. It is precisely because the rewards of the game are so rich that they can turn around a person's life and even save some damage, so many people are willing to give it a try even if they know that the game is extremely dangerous. Taoran was confused because no one had negotiated with her before entering the game, and she didn't know what she would get after completing the mission. Sure enough, she got nothing. Is this true? My dear, you are so rude. When partners formally meet, shouldn't they introduce themselves first? It's not pleasant to be so aggressive at first. I'll go first. My name is Elizabeth. You can call me Earl. Not madam, but it's an adult. Taoran was speechless. Tell the important point. It's a long story, so sit down and talk. Taoran turned around and left. Yes. I took your reward. The woman's smile was still bright. Okay, come back and sit down. I will tell you properly. I don't like others to stand taller than me. Taoran held back a breath, turned around and sat on the high red velvet chair facing Elizabeth. I was injured and am recovering. So the reward for your mission is also what I need. You mean, the blood? Taoran remembered that she had obtained blood beads in the previous few missions. That's not ordinary blood, it's blood from the heart. It's full of vitality, and original power. And it was donated willingly by others, so it also contains the power of faith and blessing. It can be said that it is extremely precious. Especially for our tribe. Come on. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 316. Your clan. Taoran looked at Elizabeth up and down. What tribe are you from? Elizabeth obviously did not intend to answer. You have also tasted the effect of the blood. It has made your physical condition much better, hasn't it? Taoran, so not only do you need the blood, but I also need it. I swallowed the reward of your Yutong mission, so that I have the strength to start a game mission for you that does not belong to our world. A game that doesn't belong in this world. Taoran had guessed it before. The games in their current world cannot reach that level, not even holographic ones. Not to mention designing various unreasonable factors in a space, being able to mix and switch environmental factors at will, making full use of system control, and being 100% committed and practical to all senses, etc. Taoran, so, is this the reason why you haven't shown up in the game world? Yes. I can't go. Elizabeth pouted. The higher the world level, the stronger the ability. Of course, the rewards are also rich. For us, it is a survival game, but for them, it is almost a performance, a live broadcast, and a way to pass the time. We beg, but the impossible things may not be that difficult for them. So don't just blame me. In order to send you into that game, I spent almost all my strength. It's a risk for you and a big gamble for me. You have to know that once you die there, I will have failed. By then, we will all be doomed. Elizabeth didn't know what she thought of, and suddenly she shuddered. Taoran stared at her and snorted, "It's so dangerous, but you didn't tell me anything and just let me go like that." Elizabeth smiled. Of course I couldn't tell her, it was so dangerous. What if she didn't want to? Before the game starts, if compulsion is detected, you will be directly ejected from the game. So didn't I send you to ancient times first? Didn't you learn martial arts? You have to understand my good intentions. The woman winked. Taoran was a little frightened. Sure enough, all my actions were planned by this person. She hated feeling like this. She doesn't like this woman either. So don't worry about it so much. I have no choice but to do it. The facts are there, my dear. I didn't choose the wrong person. You did a pretty good job. Elizabeth calmed down and did not tell Taoran that not only had she completed the task, but she was also the player with the highest total points and the highest popularity in the background. Therefore, the reward of the task has been tripled. She gained a lot of energy and finally had some energy left. I did take the reward from the game, so I had the strength to open my sealed castle and welcome you. Then I didn't lose. How is that possible? My power is great, so I can help you better, right? If I can save you, that will be the best reward for you. How are you going to save me? Do you know what disease I have? Can you cure it? Indeed, this is what Taoran wants to know the most. Honey, you're not sick. You are cursed. Taoran opened his mouth. Curse, isn't it a genetic disease? She always thought it was a hereditary disease. I'm sure. 100%, the woman smiled there. Taoran was stunned. So, this is the reason why no matter where she goes to seek medical treatment, there is no solution? Someone used the blood sacrifice method to curse your ancestors. That person was a little sinister and cruel, so your lineage will be short-lived ghosts for generations to come. How do you know? Blood spells are a specialty of our clan. I could see something was wrong with you right away. Later, when I got your blood, I was even more sure. Can you cure me? Breaking curses is also my clan's ability. As long as I recover my ability, I can naturally help you. When will your abilities be restored? So, I have to rely on you to complete the task. You get the blood of your heart, and each of us gets half of it. That blood can maintain your body functions and make you live longer, and it is a great recovery power for me. As long as you save enough blood, I can get rid of the imprisonment and regain my freedom. Then I will help you break the curse. Taoran didn't miss a word. This woman is from a foreign race and is proficient in blood spells. She mentioned something about sealing, imprisonment and freedom. Taoran couldn't help but have wild thoughts. Could the person who was suppressed and needed to be sealed be a good person? What on earth are you doing? Could it be that he was making a deal with the devil? Seeing Taoran's silence, the woman's expression suddenly changed. Don't think that I don't know what you are thinking. Her face was a little twisted and ferocious. I was plotted. If not, who could have imprisoned me? She sneered. Don't think I don't know. Are you thinking about finding someone else to relieve your curse? Let me tell you, it's useless. First, from the moment your blood dripped onto the script, the involvement between you and me as it already exists. If you want to get rid of me, you have to die. Secondly, the curse on you belongs to the same clan as the one used by my clan, and requires a special method to break the curse. It is not that your clan can break it. If you don't believe it, just go give it a try. Taoran glared at the woman. Just now, she did think so. She still doesn't trust this woman to this day. She didn't want to risk making a deal with the devil. She came here to seek treatment from a doctor. Now that the doctor can't help, she should return to her country. Thinking about her motherland's vast land, rich resources, and talented people, what if it's a curse that still can't be solved? But before she could think about who knew the master, the woman poured ice water on her. It suddenly occurred to her that Granny Hua went to pray for her on the first day of the first lunar month every year. Growing up, Granny Hua often told her fortunes and solved disasters, and her company would also ask a master to look at feng shui arrangements every year. I attended, but no one saw that she was under a spell. On Weibo, various masters like to talk about celebrities' horoscopes every day, but no one has ever calculated that she will die. Is it because of different sects? Why are my ancestors involved with your clan? I don't know. When I regain my strength, I will help you find the reason using the bloodline tracing method. Then I will understand. Taoran digested it for a long time before speaking again. Since you need your heart's content, why don't you help others fulfill their wishes? Because you are not a human? Or because your clan is not recognized? Taoran asked, of course not out of curiosity, but just wanted to test and confirm. Sure enough, these words stimulated Elizabeth, and she suddenly opened her mouth, bared her teeth, and trembled her face. Yes. I am not a human. My clan cannot see the light. I am not allowed. I have no freedom. I am imprisoned. What tribe are you from? You guessed it, didn't you? Blood, vampires. Taoran didn't understand this stuff. She had only watched a few vampire movies when she was a teenager, and her knowledge of them was limited to that. Yes. Vampire. I want to go home even more. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 317. Seeing Taoran's depressed expression and hesitant to speak, Elizabeth tried her best to smile as kindly as possible. Anything else you want to ask? I'll answer them all. Why choose me? The woman was silent for a long time, then said quietly, because your breath smells good. What? Because of the golden light? Haven't you always wanted to know what the golden light in each mission world is? Have you guessed it now? Is it merit? Almost. You can say that. But it's not accurate. In fact, it is the power of faith. That light is the light of faith. The more people recognize you in their hearts, agree with you in their souls, and follow you in their actions, the more you will gain the more of that power. The power of faith? Taoran believed it. So Yaqin set up a charity fund, Yang Yu donated to the fund, Chen Yi became a celebrity, and even guided her behavior in the last game world. It was indeed with some kind of belief that influenced and guided many people. So punishing evil and promoting good is a road that is praised in any world, right? And what the woman said next was even more unbelievable, like a fantasy. She says, every 100 years, I can gain a little bit of strength through recuperation, but I have never found the right person for the task. They either failed to pass the first 3 tasks, or they couldn't get it. Any light of faith? Mainly, of course, because most of them are so ugly. You are the only one who has made it this far and still has strong faith. The power of faith is a good thing. It can help me recover better. If our clan wants to revive, what we need most is the light of faith. But not everyone can have this thing, and we can't force it. You are a movie queen with countless fans and a strong faith. You also have good intentions and have done a lot of good deeds. After you donated all your wealth to charity, your strong faith is simply. Elizabeth swallowed, it almost made her mouth water. If she were hundreds of years ago, she would definitely enjoy it if she met such a person. It's a pity that she can't survive. Then I saw the curse on you, and I felt that you were the one destined by God to help me with my mission. Facts have proved that my vision was right. From now on, you should do your job well. When I become stronger, I will break the curse for you. The woman Balabala talked a lot. But now Taoran was in a state of confusion, and was only worried about one thing: would his cooperation with this woman be helping the evil? Will he finally release some suppressed demon king? She wants to live, but she has a bottom line. Why were you suppressed? Because of being betrayed. Being plotted against. Elizabeth was excited again and jumped down from her couch, walking barefoot to Taoran. She bared her teeth and claws, her eyes were red, and her entire face was trembling. That man betrayed the Blood Clan, colluded with outside wizards, framed me, imprisoned me in that iron tower, and made me watch with my own eyes the people of the Blood Clan being killed, expelled, exiled, and destroyed. From then on, the Blood Clan has been in decline. We the tribesmen hide their heads and tails and dare not see the light of day. Did you do something to humans to deserve repression? I don't have any. Elizabeth slapped her face. What don't I, Elizabeth? I have a large amount of fiefdom, endless gold and silver, and endless slaves. My life is perfect, I have everything I need, and I am a mere human being. Don't look at it. Tao Ran's ears were buzzing from the shock, and he couldn't help but stand up and back away. But no matter how fast she was, the woman's face always remained 5 centimeters away from her eyeballs. You don't need to get excited, Tao Ran waved his sleeves and pushed the woman away. Sure enough, my hand was empty. The woman was nothing more than an apparition. Aren't you a vampire? Don't vampires drink blood? Did you kill people and drink human blood? That's why. Not all vampires drink human blood. We raise chickens, ducks, cattle, and sheep in our castle, and I only eat beef and mutton. Then why do others want to kill you? Because he is despicable, he is jealous of me, he wants my wealth and land, and he wants to take away my castle. So I used all my strength to curse him with my own blood. I would rather die and leave only a trace of my soul than let him perish with me. He won't even think about what I can't keep. Who can don't even think about it? Elizabeth floated to Tao Ran again. Aren't you merciful? Aren't I pitiful? Aren't I unjust? Just treat me as the poor person in those plots, can't you help me? Tao Ran, I'll help you become stronger, but after you recover your abilities, what will you do if you cross the river and burn the bridge? It's like the reward from the previous mission. I won't. I promise, I will cure your disease. How can I trust you? How can I trust that you are not a devil? How can I trust that you will still help me after I am no longer useful? Do you want to make an oath? Swear, Elizabeth bared her teeth. If the oath was useful, would there be so much betrayal in the world? When did you become so naive? You are a smart person, don't waste your time. I'll go back and think about it, give me some time. Seeking skin from a tiger is quite risky. Tao Ran still didn't believe this woman. I don't believe it from the bottom of my heart. I don't have any good impressions of her. I had been tricked by her before and was almost doomed. Now I am still so gullible, am I really stupid? Go back. Think about it. I've spent so much effort, but you still don't believe me? Don't you look at whose credit it is for you to be alive and kicking now? What? You want to betray me too? Elizabeth suddenly extended her hand to Tao Ran. Her hand did not touch Tao Ran. But Tao Ran felt his neck tighten, and then a feeling of suffocation came over him. You are the only person I have chosen for hundreds of years. Have you ever thought about the consequences of letting me down? I talk to you carefully, but you don't listen. You want me to use force, don't you? Let me say it again, your blood has been absorbed by me, it's melted. There is already a bond between you and me. I am not here for you to come and leave whenever you want. Nor am I here for you to help only if you want to, and to give up if you don't want to help. You'd better remember one thing, everyone who betrays me will not end well. The same as you. If you don't listen to my nice words, don't blame me for being ruthless. Tao Ran had a headache and dizziness. In a daze, he felt the familiar feeling of detachment coming back. Don't you have to think about it? I'll give you a chance and give you time. You should consider our cooperation during this mission. I advise you to complete the mission obediently. Then it's okay for you and me. Otherwise, you will be in the mission. If you don't tell them, your relatives will be harmed. I am a person who always seeks retribution regardless of the cost. If you betray me, even if I use up the last bit of my strength, I will destroy your mother-in-law who is in the nursing home and make her suffer and die. You have thought about it? I'm waiting for your good news. I hope that next time we meet, we can avoid using such a rude approach. After all, I like your face. Go for it. Don't be stupid. Tao Ran's head felt heavy and his head hurt so much that it seemed like it was going to explode. Feeling aggrieved, she was sent on another mission. I haven't thanked you for a long time. Come on, thank you. Thank you all for your monthly votes and messages. Thanks to TNU67, Runda, Time 6, Broken Feathers of Ling's Yao, Book Club Tale number 22576, Book Club Tale number 46293. Baby for their rewards. Thank you to all the readers, I love you. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 318. Tao Ran opened his eyes suddenly when he was depressed and angry, and found that he was in bed again. However, it is not an executive suite in a luxury hotel, but a hotel with yellowed walls, a simple ceiling lamp above the head, a height of 1.2 meters wide, and a stiff body without even a mattress. A hotel? Probably. Sure enough, this sent her into a new world. Annoyed. My head hurts. She held her head, knowing that was Elizabeth's punishment. Xiaoan, what's wrong with you? A hand was placed on Tao Ran's forehead. Tao Ran subconsciously slapped him away. Chirp and say ouch. Tao Ran took a look and saw that she had pushed a girl squatting next to the bed to the ground. The girl sat down in a basin of water next to the bed. She was flattening her mouth and wanted to cry. Are you okay? I'm sorry. My head suddenly hurt so much. Tao Ran was apologizing, but when she came to her senses, she suddenly found that the girl in front of her had tears rolling down her face, but she clenched her teeth, clenched her fists, and pointed. The tip turned red. She suddenly didn't want to apologize. She has been working in movies for many years and has learned a lot about micro-expressions. If you really want to feel aggrieved and cry, you should purse your lips or bite your lips instead of gritting your teeth. The fingertips of the clenched fists are so red, which shows how much effort this girl has spent, so this girl is enduring and suppressing, and her eyes, it was a bit complicated and Tao Ran couldn't understand it, but it was definitely not aggrieved. My head hurts too much. Let me have a rest, okay, subconsciously feeling that this girl might not have a good relationship with the original owner, Tao Ran covered his head with a quilt and changed his mind. The girl said, you have a good rest. I will wait half an hour to see you again. I will ask Dongyu and the others to come in later. Tao Ran hummed and listened to the door being closed. She sat up. It was a small room with only a small bed, not to mention a bathroom, and not even a window. It was really a small shabby hotel. There was an unpleasant musty smell in the house, and luggage was strewn all over the floor. It looks like he doesn't live alone at all. Tao Ran wanted to pour a cup of hot water to drink, but when she saw the white porcelain cup with a pale yellow ring around the rim, she felt nauseated instantly. When she lowered her head and saw that the quilt in her hand was yellowish and smelled faintly of smoke and mold, she couldn't even sit down on the bed. She found a pack of toilet paper, wiped the stool, and then sat down to receive the plot. Otherwise, you have to go back before you can find the witch. When she thought of the witch, she became angry again. Who feels wronged by her? The rewards I earned by working so hard on the mission that I almost died in another world were all stolen by others and used to control and threaten me. The more I thought about it, the more I became more and more angry and cowardly. The old witch won't let her succeed easily. Another sad story. The original owner, Fang Wen, is a delicate, beautiful, and artistic girl. How could such a girl not be loved by others, and how could she not be envied by others? Fang Wen had a smooth life in the first 20 years. She had good looks, good grades, good personality, and was very lovable. Her family's conditions were pretty good. Both her parents were middle school teachers. At that time, it was the most popular job in the world, a golden rice bowl. Fang Wen herself worked hard and was admitted to one of the best local universities. College students in the 1990s still had a good reputation. She is already considered by many people as someone else's child. In addition, she is very good at writing short compositions, especially fresh and artistic prose poems. I have been writing since I entered college. In the late 1990s, there were many magazines of this type. I submitted more articles and developed the knack of writing articles. By her junior year, her royalties could already support her daily expenses and she had some savings. In college, she also had a boyfriend named Chu Le. Chu Le is also a local. His father is a university professor and his mother works in a hospital, so the two families are well matched. In their junior year, the two met their parents and planned to get married after graduation. Everything was beautiful, but something happened during her junior year of college that completely turned Fang Wen's life around. Yuan Lily, a roommate and best friend who lives in Fang Wen's upper bunk, found out she was pregnant during a physical examination shortly after returning to school during the winter vacation and Chinese New Year. The child belongs to her boyfriend Qi Ji in her hometown. After Qi Ji's family learned that Yuan Lily was pregnant, they firmly opposed her abortion and insisted that the two children get married as soon as possible. Yuan Lily's hometown is not a developed area, not rich but traditional. Children usually get engaged when they are 14 or 15 years old, and when they are 17 or 18 years old, they have a few tables of wine and live together. Many couples wait until their children are able to do so before they even think about getting a certificate. So after all, Qi Ji has been waiting for Yuan Lily for several years. Now that I have a child, I naturally don't want to wait any longer. It should be said that there is a reason why Yuan Lily got into a good university because her score in the college entrance examination was average. Her uncle was a hero in the province in his early years and became disabled and never had children. Therefore, after Yuan Lily's household registration was transferred before the college entrance examination, she received policy bonus points. This plus, I went to a good university. Well, there is no tuition fee. It's free, but it's nothing if you don't get it. The Yuan family can still honor their ancestors, so they are naturally willing to do so. Of course, the most important thing is that as the only college student in the village, Yuan Lily can get a lot of bonuses and subsidies from the village and the local area after going to college, and she can get them every year. Precisely because they could enjoy the free money for the rest of their lives, the Qi Ji family agreed to let Yuan Lily go to college. After discussion with the husband's family, the Yuan family decided to let Yuan Lily temporarily suspend her studies and wait until the child is born to finish her studies. When Yuan Lily invited Fang Wen and the others to a break-up meal, there was a moment of reluctance in the dormitory. After all, it was a 3-year relationship, but it was still very emotional. Fang Wen and others planned to buy something for Yuan Lily as a wedding gift. But Yuan Lily said no. If you really wish me well, please be my bridesmaid. My wedding is scheduled for May Day, just a few days away. If you go to my wedding, that would be the greatest blessing to me. You are all my besties, you will definitely make my wedding regret-free, right? Having said that, it is indeed not easy to refuse. Yuan Lily gave another person a bag of local specialties, and it was even worse for the three of them. Thinking that she would have nothing to do on May Day anyway, she agreed and followed Yuan Lily to her hometown. Of course, it was only after I went there that I realized that Yuan Lily's home was so far away and the conditions were really not that good. The three girls are very enthusiastic and take the role of themselves. Who doesn't want to have a perfect wedding memory? So the three of them are doing their best to help prepare for the wedding. The three of them spent 2 days working at their own expense, even preparing the bridesmaid's dress and shoes. Only then were they told that the groom's family only had one best man, so only one of the three of them could be the bridesmaid. Subsequently, Yuan Lily selected Fang Wen. At this time, Fang Wen didn't know that her nightmare was about to begin. On the day of the wedding, Fang Wen followed Yuan Lily in a flowing banquet and toasted table after table. There is no way, Yuan Lily is pregnant. If she doesn't come forward at this time, she can't put a pregnant woman in trouble, right? Fortunately, the best man, Chen Jun, was very personable. Seeing that Fang Wen had drunk too much, he took the initiative to hold back several drinks for her. By the time the banquet was over, Fang Wen was already drowsy. Then, the wedding ceremony began. Who would have thought that a wedding ceremony in this remote place would be more lively than a banquet? Fang Wen didn't expect that the trouble in the wedding would also happen to her. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 319. In order to be lively and celebratory and seek some good omens and blessings, Yuan Lily's hometown has always taken the wedding ceremony very seriously. Everyone gathered in the wedding room. The bride was pregnant. As a bridesmaid, Fang Wen was pushed to the front before she could react and became the target of everyone's noisy. The bridesmaids are beautiful and have a good figure. What do the groom think? The bridesmaid should give the bride a try to see if the groom can do it. The bridesmaid comes from a big city, so she will definitely know how to play games. Hurry up and play games with the groom and groomsmen to help the bride get more good luck. No one among the men, women, and children who were laughing and joking felt that there was anything wrong. Some of those people were really shameless, and some wanted to take advantage of the situation, but most people just took it for granted and loved to watch this kind of excitement. Fang Wen naturally didn't want to hear those jaw-dropping games. But the bride, her roommate, and best friend Yuan Lily said with a smile, "Help me, you are my best friend. If you are not willing at this time, my mother-in-law and I will be embarrassed. We will be laughed at and looked down upon in the future of." "Lily, I don't feel very well." But Yuan Lily pulled her and begged, "It's just for fun, no one has any ill intentions. With so many people present, what will they do to you? I know you are embarrassed, so I won't let my husband play with you. You are all young people, relax, it's nothing. You and the best man can play for us. You can just play 2 games and go through the motions. There are so many people, you can't embarrass me, thank you." Fang Wen still shook her head. Is the reason why she didn't want to do it because she was the groom or the best man? It's about self-respect and independence, but it's about feeling ridiculous and underhanded and unacceptable. But before Fang Wen could object, she was already coaxed and pinned down on the bed. She had drunk too much and her hands and feet were weak. At this time, she had no ability to resist. It was also at this time that she realized that no one at the scene could help her or save her. Her other 2 roommates are also unknown. Then, she experienced the greatest humiliation in her life. She was pressed on the head and ate the same date as the best man. She was used to install game props, but those strangers' hands had no good intentions at all. The more she struggled, the more hands came to help her. What a shame those people laughed and said that the bridesmaid had good stamina and good health. Also, what kind of inferior games are those? She had raw eggs stuffed into the sleeves of her dress, and they made her use her body to transport the eggs out from under her dress and stuff them into the groomsmen's legs. How's the luck? Many people got started. Euphemistically called, help her. By grabbing the egg, he raised and lowered his hands on her. She screamed to stop, which elicited a series of laughs. Someone deliberately smashed the egg on her chest, and then let her have good luck. The shame lasted for more than an hour. She had never felt so humiliated in her life. There were several moments when she wanted to die. When it was all over, she pulled her messy dress and went to call the police. Silly girl, who cares about this? This is folk custom. Every household is like this, and the police won't care. If you don't believe it, just give it a try. That's right. Isn't it just that you were touched a few times? You don't have any missing pieces of flesh. What's so big about it? Are girls from the city expensive? This is the custom here. Just now our best man was suppressed by you, and he didn't even say he was at a disadvantage. Okay. Fang Wen was so angry that she was speechless and shook her head to leave. But this was a quiet place, and it was the middle of the night, and she couldn't even tell the east, west, and west. Plus, she was wearing high heels and walking on the gravel road, so she fell down after a few steps. She had drunk too much, and when her emotions got the better of her, she had a momentary breakdown. The woman's relatives came to persuade her and asked her to go back to the woman's house to rest and then send her away at dawn. Fang Wen thought that the bag was still at Yuan Lily's house, and her ID card and money were in the bag, so she had no choice but to respond. Half drunk, she originally wanted to get the bag and crawl away, but not long after arriving at Yuan's house, she died. When she woke up again, it was broad daylight and she was sleeping in a strange bed. She was undressed, and beside her lay the best man Chen Jun. Various traces told her that something unspeakable happened the night before. At that moment, she almost collapsed. Her subconscious scream of questioning caused someone to push open the door. Several strange men and women came in and saw this embarrassing scene. The panicked Fang Wen was at a loss, but Chen Jun immediately wrapped her in a quilt. 10 minutes later, she realized that this was Chen Jun's home. Chen Jun swore to God and said he knew nothing. Fang Wen bravely called the police. The police are here. But almost everyone in the village can prove that both of them drank too much last night. It's normal after drinking. Some people also testified that they saw Fang Wen acting drunk alone in the middle of the night and running into the Chen family for some reason, so it was clearly her who threw herself into her arms. The Yuan family also said that Fang Wen made a fuss and wanted to leave in the middle of the night. Later, after asking the location of the Chen family, she left angrily. Fang Wen said it was impossible. She didn't remember it at all. You've lost all the pieces, can you still remember? Someone also showed the police photos of the red-faced groomsmen and bridesmaids during the wedding last night. Some people say that maybe during the wedding ceremony, the two young people looked at each other. It is also possible that the bridesmaid suffered a loss because of the wedding ceremony, so she came looking for the best man to find a place. Of course Fang Wen was not convinced. The police said that this kind of drunken incident is difficult to define. At most, the man can apologize and pay money for the sake of humanity. The Chen family was unhappy and said that they would not pay if the woman came to her door. Not a penny will be given. On the contrary, his own son was still a virgin and was ruined by this woman of unknown origin. It is their family that wants to claim compensation. It was a ridiculous thing, and Fang Wen had no choice but to swallow the loss alive, and fled in a hurry from that ghost place where no one would help her. The other two roommates were also confused about what happened that night. One of them was drunk that night, and the other didn't go to the man's house at all because he had diarrhea. After returning to the city, Fang Wen found a lawyer. But the lawyer told her that although there were many doubts about this matter, it was difficult to define whether it was consensual between you and me, and it was difficult to file a lawsuit. Both she and the man drank too much, and there is both physical and personal evidence of this, so even if they file a lawsuit, it will be difficult to win. On the contrary, Fang Wen's reputation will be damaged even more. After all, she is still a college student, and it will be even more unfavorable for her when the time comes. The lawyer's advice is to let Fang Wen let go. But from then on, whenever Fang Wen closed her eyes, she would feel the unbearable feeling of that night, and she didn't know how to deal with her boyfriend. She really wanted to tell everything to her parents and boyfriend, but she couldn't and was afraid of the possible consequences. In a flash, 2 weeks passed. Fang Wen just adjusted her mood and planned to start over, but she didn't expect that the Chen family came to the door. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 320. Fang Wen received a call from the instructor and asked to go to the office. But in the office, there were not only Father Chen and Mother Chen, but also her own parents. She was caught off guard as if struck by lightning. The couple from the Chen family brought large and small bags with red ribbons on them, saying they were here to propose marriage. Fang Wen was so angry that she was shaking all over. Those people actually skipped me and came directly to the school, and then called their parents through the school. Her father's lips were trembling with anger, and her mother was sitting there crying. Those people had elaborated on the story of her and Chen Jun's drunken relationship, saying that according to their tradition, they would get married if they slept together. Those people kept saying that country people were down to earth, unlike city people, with open minds, and wanted her to be responsible for their children. Before Fang Wen arrived, they had already produced evidence, not only the witness they brought with them, the aunt from the same hometown, but also a stack of intimate photos of her and Chen Jun during the wedding ceremony, which they also gave to the local police station. If you don't believe me, you can ask for the police record of that day. Before Fang Wen arrived, they also talked to Yuan Lily on the phone and called the other two girls in her dormitory. Although the two girls were grievances about Fang Wen, they did not dare to lie. The village called the police that night, so there was a big fuss. They had known about it for a long time. Faced with questioning, they had to acquiesce in what happened to Fang Wen and Chen Jun that night. How come we have a daughter like you? Hiding it from your parents, let's see what good things you do. After arriving, Fang Wen was stunned and was slapped by her parents. She had no time to explain, but turned around and saw her boyfriend Chu Le standing at the door of the office with a cold expression. Outside the office, many people had gathered with their heads peeping out. They were all talking and looking at her with disdainful eyes. In such a short period of time, such a little thing has actually spread. Fang Wen didn't want Chu Le to misunderstand, so she rushed out to explain. In the stairwell, Fang Wen grabbed Chu Le. Chu Le, you never let me touch you, why did you sleep with someone else? No, there is a misunderstanding. You did sleep with someone else. Listen to my explanation. No, compared with this, I hate you for lying to me more. If this family hadn't come to the door, would you never have told me about your cheating? Do you want me to be taken advantage of? You are dishonest. You're unfaithful. Let's break up. Fang Wen still wanted to explain, but Chu Le said, I care about a woman's first time. Without you, no matter what the reason, we can't be together anymore. In short, she doesn't deserve it. Chu Le coldly shook off her hand and strode away with absolute determination. Fang Wen stayed in the stairwell. It was not her intentional negligence. Her parents complained about her, her boyfriend left her, everyone was disappointed with her, and she suddenly didn't want to live anymore. She climbed the stairs to the top of the building. Thinking that her parents have been trying to save face all their lives, but she has let them down so far, Fang Wen was about to jump downstairs when she got excited. But she was hugged by someone. The one who saved her turned out to be Chen Jun. I'm sorry, it's my fault. I didn't stop my parents. I just arrived and you were wronged. Don't do anything stupid. What happened that night was an accident, but since I did it, I will admit it. I won't let anyone hurt you. If you are willing, I can be responsible for you. If you are not willing, I will protect you silently. Chen Jun handed Fang Wen into the hands of her parents. That measure is just right. Although he came from the countryside, he was polite, measured, sensible, and courageous, which made the Fang family's parents have mixed feelings about this man who both harmed and saved their daughter. Fang Wen's suicide made the Chen family dare not force them anymore. Chen Jun even forcefully sent his parents back to their hometown and told the Fang parents to call him if anything happened, and that Fang Wen would be the priority in everything. Chen Jun's responsibility made Fang's parents look at him more. Over the next 2 months, Fang Wen gradually calmed down, and the Chen family never showed up again. Fang Wen tried hard to get her life back to how it was before. But how can it be that easy? Her classmates and teachers still treated her the same on the surface, but secretly they pointed at her more. The laughter in the dormitory were no longer the same as before, and her parents were hesitant to talk to her. What's even more egregious is Chu Le. Before the semester ended, he had confirmed his relationship with a freshman girl. The two of them go in and out together, and they are extremely affectionate. The day before summer vacation, Fang Wen saw the two people entering a hotel off campus. Fang Wen felt uncomfortable watching this. She gradually became introverted and didn't like to talk or go out, so she moved back home from school. At the beginning of the new semester, Fang Wen and her family discovered that Chen Jun had started working in a large supermarket chain near Fang's home and was doing well. He never bothered the Fang family, he only went to his own class and lived his own life from afar. Although the Fang family felt resentful, they could not drive him away. It wasn't until a year later, when Fang Wen graduated and started looking for a job, that the Chen family once again came to propose marriage with various packages. We Ziajun have been waiting for you Ziaoan for more than a year. Since the children have been together for a long time, it's time to settle things. For a time, everyone in the community knew about it. The Fang family did not want their daughter to get married, but the Chen family insisted that it was Fang Wen who took the initiative to seduce their son that day, and there was no reason why her son would not admit it after sleeping with her. Now that everyone in the village knew about his son, and no girl was willing to marry him, Fang Wen had to take responsibility. She threatened that if the Fang family obstructed her, she would sue their family and go to the old couple's school to ask for an explanation. When had the Fang parents been so embarrassed? Fortunately, Chen Jun appeared again and walked them down the steps. The day after he settled his parents, Chen Jun finally paid a formal visit. He admitted that these were bad habits in the countryside, apologized, and revealed his true feelings, saying that he would do his best to take care of Fang Wen for the rest of his life and prevent her from being wronged again. He said that he kept his promise and would definitely do whatever he said. Although the Fang family's parents don't hate Chen Jun, they don't want to wrong their daughter. After all, Chen Jun is a high school student, and his hometown is conservative and remote. But who would have thought that Fang Wen somehow agreed? I don't want to stay here anymore. I don't want to embarrass you either. Everyone was laughing at her, and she couldn't stand it anymore. And as long as she doesn't get married for a day, the Chen family will probably have to mess around and pester her endlessly. My face has been disgraced, and my parents are both teachers and educate people, and the most important thing is reputation. If the Chen family goes to school to make trouble, their parents' work will be affected, and their reputation will be lost. Because of her, parents are already under enough pressure. Besides, I don't want to be scolded. It turned out that when she went back to school to get her diploma, she was blocked by Chu Le. He actually scolded her for being embarrassing, shameless. After losing her virginity. She has proposed marriage so many times. Who are you trying to deceive? If you refuse to marry me, I am ashamed of you as my ex-girlfriend. Because of you to this day, I am still being teased by my brothers. A series of blunt and merciless slut-shaming remarks made Fang Wen almost faint. You said that if you keep your promise, you will always be good to me, right? Fang Wen was disgusted because of Chu Le. Now to her, anyone who keeps his promise is better than Chu Le. She really didn't want to stay in the city anymore. Fang Wen only made one request to Chen Jun: she could marry him, but she would not live with him in that remote hometown. Chen Jun agreed, saying that his parents had never been able to influence him. He can decide. Fang's family believed this from the several times he forced his parents to help him out. Once you accept this person, everything seems to go smoothly. In fact, Fang Wen, like her family, does not dislike Chen Jun. After more than a year of observation by her parents, they know that he is a good young man who is down to earth, hardworking, affectionate, and righteous, and is praised by both his co-workers and supervisors. In terms of appearance, he is even more outstanding than Chu Le. A high school diploma, in this era, is considered to be above average. As long as you work hard, you still have a future. Just like that, Fang Wen got married. Married simply. In the rural village that shadowed her wedding, she only held a few tables of drinks and left overnight. She and Chen Jun went to live in the city next door. In order to have a better life for their daughter, the Fang family paid for a house and asked someone to find Chen Jun a job in a state-owned enterprise. The life of a young couple is pretty good. In the second year after their marriage, Fang Wen became pregnant, so she quit her job and wrote some short articles at home while raising her baby. But after the son was born, her mother-in-law came, and so did the crisis in her life. During a quarrel between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, Chen Jun suddenly broke out and pushed Fang Wen, saying that no daughter-in-law in her hometown talked to her mother-in-law like this. Chen's mother was so proud that she said she would take her grandson to live in the countryside for a few days and host a nice banquet. Fang Wen meant that she would travel on the road and wait until the child was 2 months old before leaving. The mother-in-law and daughter-in-law had another dispute. But the next day, Fang Wen went to the hospital and returned home to find that her mother-in-law and husband were missing. They left without saying goodbye and returned to the countryside. Fang Wen could only chase him to the countryside. In the countryside, she had a dispute with Chen Jun. This time, she was beaten by Chen Jun, who drank too much. She wanted to call the police, but Chen Jun smashed her cell phone and tied her up, saying that it was natural for the disobedient women here to be beaten. By the next day, Chen Jun sobered up and began to kneel down and beg again. Fang Wen plans to return to the city. But Chen Jun didn't want to go back to the city and said he was quitting his job. His roots are in his hometown, and so are his children. They have to live in their hometown. Fang Wen naturally didn't want to. What are you unwilling to do? You can write your crap articles here just as well. And living here, I don't have to go to work. You are a college student. Whatever you do in the village and the local government will apply for subsidies for you. You can get money for nothing for the rest of your life. Why go to the city? You will be exhausted. Chen Jun just took his brother to drink again. Fang Wen wanted to take the child back to the city, but her mother-in-law refused to give her the child. When Chen Jun came back half drunk, he beat Fang Wen again and asked her, "Do you want to go back to the city because you still miss the man from before?" Chen's mother took the child to a relative's house. Fang Wen couldn't find her son and had no choice but to call the police. But people around him unanimously testified that the couple had a quarrel, and the father and grandmother were afraid that the mother would lose her temper, so they took the child away. The police don't care about household matters. Fang Wen was the only one who collapsed. "If you want to leave, you can leave by yourself, but my son belongs to our Chen family, and he must stay no matter what." Fearing that her infant son would suffer, Fang Wen endured it. In the countryside, Chen Jun became a completely different person. He was irritable, had low self-esteem, was chauvinistic, drank too much, and was always ready to take action against Fang Wen. Fang Wen endured 3 years in the countryside for the sake of her children. The Chen family used her diploma to make money, but not only was her royalties taken away by Chen Junquan, but her savings were also demanded in various ways. When Chen Jun proposed to sell the apartment in the city, Fang Wen couldn't bear it anymore. She ran away and began fighting for divorce and custody. But Chen Jun was fighting a protracted war, with all kinds of delays, all kinds of excuses, all kinds of slanders, and threats with the children, and even blackmailed Fang Wen for a sum of money because the children wanted to go to school. Naturally, the children did not go to school. According to the Chen family, no one in their family went to kindergarten. In the court, which was successfully opened the following year, Chen Jun and Chen's mother cried loudly and poured all kinds of dirty water on Fang Wen, creating rumors that she was irresponsible, neglected the children, and ran away repeatedly. But for the sake of their children, they still have to give them a sound family. If they are sentenced to divorce, they will drink pesticides as a family. Only then did Fang Wen realize that this family was so good at acting and such rogues. The court did not rule. 3 times in a row, the court refused to rule. Fang Wen said that if the Chen family was willing to regress and divorce, she would be willing to transfer the house to the Chen family. But even so, her request was rejected. They just won't divorce. In a blink of an eye, the child is 8 years old and going to elementary school. Really can't afford it? Fang Wen paid a monthly sum of money for her son to go to school in the city. She thought life would be different, but she soon discovered that her son had never been of the same mind as her. The son has long been taught by his husband and mother-in-law to be the same kind of person. His best tricks are crying, making trouble, hanging, and lying. In his son's eyes, she is an outsider, a cash machine, and a nanny who should devote herself wholeheartedly to her husband and son. During the summer vacation, after her son stole 100,000 yuan that the old couple had hidden in the closet at Fang's grandparents' house, Fang Wen finally felt that her son was hopeless. She called the police. But the son denied it. It's so annoying that Chen's mother came to scold her, saying that her parents' monthly pension was several thousand, so what was this little money? Why should it be considered like this? Fang Wen was heartbroken. She wanted to leave, but she still had her parents. It took her another 3 years and all her efforts to get the court to issue a divorce. But no matter where she moves, Chen Jun will take his son to live near her. They just want to be leeches and just want to suck the blood of her and the Fang family. Fang Wen was tortured until she suffered from depression. I couldn't sleep all night and was so skinny. After Fang's mother passed away, her illness became more serious. After an accident, she fell on her head and was sent to the intensive care unit. Chen Jun has always been with him. He bluntly said that he was waiting for her to die. When she dies, her and her natal family's property will belong to him and his son, and belong to the Chen family. He has been refusing to divorce because he was waiting for this day. In order to urge her to die quickly, he told her that the beginning of the two of them was his plan. It was Yuan Lily who gave him her photo and told him that if he wanted to save decades of hard work, he could find a way to marry her. That was how the bridesmaid incident happened. They had already planned to catch her, a big fish. Yuan Lily, why? The daughter-in-law in our place has a low status. She wants to fight for her status in her husband's family, or is she jealous? After all, it's quite happy to see you being better than her in everything, and having nothing in the end. What Fang Wen regrets most over the years is being the bridesmaid. Now I know that this bridesmaid was a conspiracy, and she didn't mention it in one breath. Fang Wen, who was not yet 40 years old, died with her eyes closed. Thanks to TNU 67 and Wen Habeo Bao for the reward. Show your appreciation.